Hello everyone, welcome to Res Snapper. My name's MJ and this is Snap or Pass, where we look at the new card coming to Marvel Snap in the week. This week it's Cassandra Nova. She's a 3/1. On reveal, steal 1 power from each card in your opponent's deck. This time, this episode, is going to be a little bit different because there's no Spotlight Week to look at that Cassandra Nova is in. You get Cassandra Nova as a reward, or she's a reward in a couple of the tiers, in Deadpool's Diner. Deadpool's Diner is a new game mode coming to Marvel Snap, which is a little bit like poker, like it's got more of an emphasis on the snapping mechanic and the odds doubling, or the stakes doubling I should say. And I'll leave a link to a snap.fan article in the description to this video where you can read more information about it. But basically there's 15 different tables and it starts with, instead of cubes, bubs. And it starts on the lowest table with, I think you start with 10 bubs and you can snap up to 5 times. It's something like that. Or there's auto snapping. I don't think they've revealed the full details as at when I'm recording this. But it basically means that those stakes, those number of bubs that you can win, goes up to like 320 in the first game. And by the end table, by the final table, which has got the biggest stakes, I think the winnings go up to like 200 million or something like that. Now, Cassandra Nova, you can win the base art card at, I think it's like 25 million. Again, hopefully I'll have more information on screen whilst I'm editing this, but I'm pretty sure it's 25 million. And you can win the card itself, and if you got all the way to the final reward on Deadpool's Dino, 500 million bubs, then you can get the variant artwork of the card. So this question of like, should you get her, is kind of less a discussion of should you spend keys for her or should you buy her with tokens, because I don't think, actually I think you should be able to buy her with tokens on the week actually, so maybe that's valid. There's still a few unknowns as at the point of recording. I'm sure you probably will be able to buy her actually with tokens, but you should be able to get her for free through Deadpool's Diner. I believe the second dinner said anyone engaging largely or engaging well with the game mode should be able to get her easily. I think they basically said that because there's also, I think there's like limits that you can't drop below your bubs, so you can only really go higher. So it should be easy and straightforward for people to get. But Cassandra Nova, let's talk about the card itself. We're going to talk about the mechanics, we're going to give you some deck ideas and some potential counters as well, and then ultimately, should you put your time and effort into playing the Deadpool's Diner game mode in order to get Cassandra Nova. Let's talk about all of it. So mechanics. She is an on-reveal effect, so it can be re-triggered and abused to your heart's content. We've said this before with similar cards with strong on-reveal abilities. Cards like Fastos and Gwenpool are 2 cards that we've spoken about recently. The difference with Cassandra Nova is that her power is potentially so damaging and so powerful that I think she's going to be even better than those cards to try and re-trigger with things like Absorbing Man or Grandmaster. Cassandra Nova plays into the toxic style of play, so it will infuriate your opponents if you lean into it. Stuff like Korg, Scorpion, Black Widow, White Widow, all of these frustrating cards to play against. Cassandra Nova is going to fit nicely into those. And very crucially, the most crucial point of all, she is part of the bald women affecting the power of cards in your deck archetype. So Okoye, you can play her out as a bald woman and she empowers all of the cards in your deck. Cassandra Nova as a bald woman, you'll be able to play her out and she's going to negatively afflict all of the cards in your opponent's deck, which I think is absolutely fantastic. A great little archetype that we've got going here. So when she is played and her on-reveal effect triggers, not only is her power extremely strong, she comes out as like a 3/7 if you play her on curve, but you're also afflicting all of their cards remaining in your opponent's deck, which can be super damaging. So she's got these 2 strings to her, these 2 elements to her. She is the best value counter to Arishem in the game, which as at time of recording is one of the most popular archetypes in the game as well. I'll flick across to the slide that we showed in the Arishem video, but she comes out, if you play her on curve against an Arishem deck, she comes out as a 319. And as good as Darkhawk is against Arishem, first and foremost, Darkhawk gets countered a little bit by Blob. They're going to play Blob, suck up all of those cards, and Darkhawk will plummet in value. Cassandra Nova, her power is locked in by that point, and all of the affliction that she does to the cards that they're going to pull is also locked in as well. So yeah, really, Cassandra Nova is the best counter to Arishem. She is a better counter than Darkhawk. She really is. And honestly, she's flexible. She works in affliction decks, Silver Surfer decks, on reveal decks that like to copy, that have strong on reveal effects that you want to repeat. I think she's going to be great in bounce decks alongside Sage. She's going to be good in rocks, like Rocks and Hawks style decks. And I've also put PMP on screen here, plug and play. We like it in the Marvel Snap community. We like saying plug and play as terminology for a card that you could just stick in any deck, and it's generally going to be good. Now the cons, the downsides of Cassandra Nova. She presents a big swing in power against Shadow King. Not only does it reset Cassandra herself, crashing her down to a 1 and pretty much almost certainly losing that location, but the other thing is as well, if they've got cards at the same location that Cassandra Nova afflicted, Shadow King's going to reset them. Or, screw that, they might even have had to have played out several cards in another location. They can do the Shadow King there, and they might get a potential swing there as well. So it's something to be very, very careful of. She is weaker if not played on curve. She still isn't bad, because even if she comes out on the final turn of the game, she'll be like a 3-4 or a 3-5, which is still not bad. But yeah, much stronger on curve. The other downside of playing her later in the game, for example on the final turn, is that you're not capitalizing on damaging their deck. You know, they're not drawing those cards and having to play cards with lower power. And I wasn't sure if this was a pro, but she may have some invisible benefits like Iceman and Scorpion. When you play those cards, you're not always sure on what benefit you've gained. Like when you play it on Iceman, if you hit something like Annihilus and that was their turn 5 that they had planned, you're not always going to be aware of that, certainly until the end of the game. So some of her impact she's having, you're not going to have as much snap equity, as much information, so you're not necessarily going to be able to snap as well. Like if their deck has got Black Panther and Iron Man, you're not necessarily going to know that you're doing double damage to those cards, which maybe would be like a snappable thing in certain games, but yeah, you're not going to know. Right, so let's talk about the counters to Cassandra Nova. There's a really interesting counter, which is actually the one that I've got third on screen here. Let's talk about it first. Luke Cage. If Luke Cage is down, is Cassandra Nova going to afflict and be able to steal power from the cards in their deck? I'm not 100% sure. Yeah, I'll be honest, guys, I don't know. It's going to be very interesting. Or does Luke Cage just affect the cards on the board? Hard to know. As we said in the previous slide, Shadow King is going to be a huge one. Shadow King's really going to take down Cassandra Nova. That being said, you could play your own Luke Cage, and then Shadow King is less of a problem. And finally, as always with on-reveal cards, Cosmo can ruin your day and be a bad doggy. Now let's talk about other key synergies and give you some actual deck ideas that you can run for Cassandra Nova. Key synergies, I think Korg and Rock Slide, the Rocks package, is going to be good. You can shuffle those rocks into their deck, make their deck bigger, which ultimately makes Cassandra Nova bigger. The one sort of consideration with Rock Slide is that if you're playing Rock Slide on turn 3 and then Cassandra Nova on turn 4, you're sort of getting one less benefit because they've drawn one more card, if that makes sense. But you're still pumping 2 cards into their deck, so it's still overall a benefit. And then Cassandra Nova will probably still feel really good on turn 4. Scorpion is a card which inflicts, or afflicts I should say, the cards in their hand. If you go turn 2 Scorpion, you get the cards in their hand. Turn 3 Cassandra Nova gets the cards in their deck. They're not going to be playing anything that isn't afflicted, so that's pretty cool. Grandmaster, as we've said, the ability to copy this power is going to be strong. I actually think that an Absorbing Man is going to be particularly potent here. A turn 3 Cassandra Nova comes out as a 3/7, as we've said. A turn 4 Absorbing Man comes out as a 4/9. So not only is it a very strong power card, 4/9, you're going to be really happy with that, but you've just double infected or double afflicted the remaining cards in their deck, so they might top deck that Arnim Zola or whatever they're doing, and they're going to feel the definitive impact and punch of that, and that's going to feel really bad for them to play those remaining cards. And then we have got Ajax here, a card that's only recently come out, is going to synergize well with the affliction power of Cassandra Nova. And Abomination, it's crucial to say, of course, this is the high evolutionary version of Abomination. His cost is going to come down because you've afflicted so many of their cards. So some actual deck ideas. This first one is called Toxic Wave. You might think from that title that it's got wave in. It hasn't. But basically this is a bit of a greedy deck. Now, Luke Cage is going to be a problem for this deck. So that's why we've got things in here like Echo, Rogue and Enchantress. We can get rid of those nasty Luke Cages that we're going to see. But other than that, we're just afflicting the heck out of them. Selene, Scorpion, Hazmat. Play these cards whenever you want. Doesn't even matter about doing it at the end of the game. Cassandra Nova. Absorbing Man. You're going to be repeating all of this punk style affliction, and then you capitalise and benefit off of that with cards like Ajax, who's going to be a really big power card. Hell, you could play down a Dr. Octopus. Now, you will get Shang-Chi'd. However, you are going to have a location, or rather you're going to fill a location of theirs with absolute garbage. And whilst they might have this Shang-Chi that comes out as a 1 or 2 power Shang-Chi, you don't have to play that much there to actually win the location. Maybe you can do it with a nicely placed Grandmaster. If you've if you've Dr. Octopus the middle location, maybe you can do like a Grandmaster on your Cassandra Nova on the final turn, and then maybe you can enchant or somewhere. I don't know how you win the other location actually. Maybe like Luke Cage or something. Who knows? Anyway, fine. Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. High Evolutionary. This is our high evolutionary style deck. We're kind of scamming with this deck because this revolves primarily around Moon Girl. So it's one of those Moon Girl duplicate decks with Abomination and She-Hulk. However, you know, in a pinch, a Moon Girl Cassandra Nova isn't going to be the end of the world. We've also got Wasp, Misty Knight. We've got our Sunspot classic high evolutionary cards here. High evolutionary himself. Cyclops. So lots of affliction happening here. Thing as well. So hopefully you're going to get the cost down of the Abomination. You want to stretch the game out as well. Magic, turn 7. It means that they are having to delve deeper into their afflicted deck, which means hopefully they're playing more cards, which means hopefully that brings down Abomination's cost. And it also means you can skip your turn 6. Hopefully you've Moon Girled and you can do double She-Hulk, double Abomination on the final turn. Along with, I mean, you could literally have a final turn that is like double Sunspot, double Abomination, double She-Hulk, and you just get you've paid like 2 energy, so you're floating 5. So your Sunspots are coming down as like 5 powers, and then you're adding like bloody 40 power with the other stuff. It's going to be cool, I'm telling you guys. And then the final deck I've got for you is Toxic Rocks. Now, Toxic Rocks utilises those Rocks and Hawks style gameplay that we talked about with Korg, the Rock Slide. We're going to infect their deck with Cassandra Nova. We're going to stop them from drawing cards with Black Widow. And we're going to try and disrupt them a little bit more with not only Echo to, again, try and snipe out the Luke Cage. We've also got US Agent in here, which can be a devastating tool and really almost block off locations that they plan to win with high power cards. We've also got Man-Thing, we've got Mystique because we've got several ongoing cards in here, and then alongside the Ajax and the Darkhawk, yeah, it's just going to be a really frustrating deck to play against. So it could be a good one. So there's only one thing left to say. Is Cassandra Nova a snap or pass? She is, of course, a snap. Yeah, certainly try and get this card. If you have to buy her, as we said at the start of the video, actually, well, we don't 100% know if she's going to be available. I assume she is. I assume she's going to be available as the new card that week to buy with tokens. But hey, I think most people are probably going to be at least trying to get her through Deadpool's Diner. As we said, Second Dinner have said that she should be easy to get for anyone I can't remember their exact wording, but it was like engaging deeply with the game mode. With that bub threshold that you're not going to be able to drop below a certain number of bubs, you're hopefully going to be able to just keep building them up and not go down too badly. Hopefully she's just going to be an easy card to get hold of, and as such, if she's an easy card to get hold of, there's no reason not to get her, right? So yeah, try and get her. I think even if she was just a normal card in spotlights, I'd say she's a brilliant card. Very strong on curve, strong and powerful outside of that, even not. I think she's fairly flexible. You don't have to play her in an Affliction style deck. She's just going to be good. I mean, even if you play her on turn 4, she's still a free 6, so it's above the power level of the average free cost card. And then that's, you know, listen, if you play her on turn 3, she comes out as a free 7, and you've afflicted like what, 3 or 4 of their draws? 3 of their draws. If they play all of those cards that they've drawn, she's like a 3/10 in power. So it's really good stuff, guys. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments below what you do think, or if I've missed anything. That's the end of this video. Goodbye.